What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back again with another Tottenham update for you guys, and quite a bit going on over the past 24 hours. Before we get into the latest news, go check out our website, bottom left-hand corner of the screen, WeAreTottenhamTV.co.uk, for all the latest blog posts and merchandise, which you can go check out. So really appreciate if you go and check out the website. It does really help support us. But without further ado, let's get into some of the news surrounding Spurs over the last 24 hours. And we'll start off with the Shakhtar CEO, Palkin. I'm not 100% sure what his first name is, but apparently Shakhtar CEO Palkin insists on a compensation package for Marcelo Solomon with Tottenham. The quote says, "We paid €6.5 million euros, and I don't believe this is a huge money for a club of Tottenham's level. No profit needed, but I believe it's possible for them to cover these losses." So he's still going on and trying to chase down Spurs for a compensation package. Do you reckon Levy relents and pays €6.5 million, or do you think they're just on a hiding to nothing?
Of course they're on a hiding to nothing. I've said Levy is no chance he is going to pay that money. There was a ruling made by UEFA that any player could leave for free from any Ukrainian team if they're come from abroad. And that's who they need to take their grievances up with, not with Tottenham demanding money from Tottenham. They need to, if they're going to take this high, then they got to go to UEFA and go to the guys that made this rule, not to Tottenham, the ones that are kind of benefiting from the rule.
100%. I mean, look, Spurs have done everything within the parameters of what they can. Marcelo Solomon has agreed to come. So, look, it is really harsh on them that they've lost a big asset considering the level of club they are. And if Spurs were nice or as a gesture of good faith, they could pay that money, but we know Levy doesn't do those kind of things as a gesture of good faith, and I don't know, and when it comes to money anyway, he's not going to do that. Maybe we can arrange another friendly, but I don't think I'm going to be getting another €6.5 million euros out of Spurs. So maybe if we were another chairman, maybe if our money wasn't so frugally managed by Levy, maybe that could be a different situation, but I don't see this happening. If it was up to me, if you're asking me what I would like to be seeing, look, given the money, in my opinion, I think it'd be nice. I think it's only fair, but I don't see Spurs doing that. So, look, is what it is. Never going to happen.
With Daniel Levy at the helm, like they've literally got no. Do they not know who they're dealing with by now? You know what I mean? Like, first of all, going out to the press and saying these kind of things as well will just make him even more angry and even more stingy. So. They need to deal with this in the right manner. It's probably morally, it's probably morally the right thing to do is to give them some sort of compensation, but we know it's not going to happen.
All right, next story comes from Fabrizio Romano, and he's talking about Tottenham's striker situations. He says, Tottenham are still not desperate to find a new number 9 in the market. They'll wait to understand the situation on the market closer to next summer, around March, April, May, but for sure, at the moment, it's completely quiet. You think maybe, obviously, I don't know how serious we were about getting a number 9 last summer after Kane left. There was obviously rumours about Gift Orban and a few other strikers floating around with no real serious interest. But how do you see next summer in terms of striker search? Do you think Son could be our number 9 for a few more years, or do you think next year we got to start looking at succession plans for him?
I think that Son is going to be our number 9 for the next few years, but you can't rely on just one man to be your number 9 for the foreseeable future. I mean, I'd like to see. I don't think you can answer that question right now. I think you got to wait till the end of the season, see how Richarlison does. Obviously, he's doing better than he has done in a Spurs shirt, but he's looking good out on the left. To be honest, against Liverpool, he looked good out on the left. So I'd like to see a bigger sample size of him on the left. I'd like to see maybe him given another go at number 9, but it just depends on how this season goes with Richarlison, to be honest. But the way I envisage it going is probably Spurs looking for another number 9 in the summer.
Do we need to sign another one with maybe, Scarlett's out on loan, we got Doni coming through. Would it be right to sign another number 9 who's maybe even a similar age to those guys and block their pathway? Or would you like to maybe allow them to maybe be that backup option to Son come next season?
Well, first and foremost, Doni is more of a number 10 anyway. So I don't think he's an out-and-out 9. In terms of Dane Scarlett, I mean, at the moment, he's not getting any sort of game time in the Championship. So His development, I'm not sure what's going to be going on with that this year. He needs minutes, and we need to see what he's all about in the championship level before we give him chances in the Premier League. So I kind of feel like we do need a number nine, and maybe these guys from the youth, Will Lancashire, Santiago, these kind of players can kind of maybe take Sonny's place when Sonny eventually goes in 2-3 years' time.
Sounds like a good idea to me. Next up, we've got Gazzetta dello Sport talking about Spurs' midfield options. He says Tottenham plan to sign a new central midfielder in January should Pierre-Emile Højbjerg be sold. The club are aware that they'll be without Pape Matar and Yves Bissouma as they compete in the AFCON. Do you think, regardless of Højbjerg's availability in the squad, whether he gets sold or not, we should be looking to sign another one in January just to plug that gap? Or do you think the fact that it's only going to be because you said there's only going to be 3 games in January that they'll be missing, you can't really just sign a midfielder for 3 games?
No, but I think if Højbjerg does go, I do think we need to sign a replacement, because he's come in and he's been a use off the bench. And essentially, we're going to have that diminished if he goes. Yes, I know Rodrigo Bentancur is coming back, but we don't know what kind of Bentancur that we're going to get back after such a long injury. So I guess we have to assess that at the time. But I think that anyone that leaves out of the squad, we need to bring in a replacement for, because we're light on numbers either way.
Yeah, it'll be. Yeah, I think a lot of the interest will be on what kind of Bentancur comes back, and I'm glad we're not rushing him back and give him the best chance to be back to his best when he does come back, rather than kind of rushing him and then all of a sudden he's rusty and he's not looking like the same player when he does. I just want to give him the best opportunity, that when he steps on that pitch, the best opportunity just to be the best he can be at that moment. So I'm glad that Postecoglou, and apparently that's a big thing with Postecoglou, that he very much cares about the welfare of his players, it seems quite different to like Conte and Mourinho, who always kept trying to rush people back, didn't they, when it comes to injuries, and they always wanted to, and even now I'm seeing Mourinho complaining about like Renato Sanchez being injured all the time, and he's like blaming players for being injured, and it's a different mentality of Postecoglou. So I'm hoping in the long term they'll benefit our players' welfare. And you even see on the weekend as well, where we're drawing 1-1 against Liverpool, and he takes off Sonny and Maddison. Now, I can guarantee you, if that was Mourinho or Conte, there is no chance that Maddison and Son come off in that situation. And I think that's just a clear evidence to me how much that he's valuing player welfare even over short-term results.
Yeah, and that's not even the first example that we saw. We saw in the first game with Cuti Romero. He was like going mad to stay on the pitch. And if that was like Conte or Jose, Cuti stays on the pitch probably in that situation. So yeah, I think it's great that he's taking player welfare into account. And I assure you that last season with Sonny playing through the hernia throughout the whole season, if that was Ange, he probably wouldn't have been playing, and he would have got surgery much earlier than he did.
Yeah, completely agree. Next up, this is coming from 90 Min and Graham Bailey of 90 Min, and he says that Tottenham are continuing to monitor Jota's situation ahead of a likely Al Ittihad exit. Ange Postecoglou loved working with the Portuguese forward at Celtic, but Spurs are not the only club keeping tabs on the situation. It's a very odd situation with Jota. Obviously, he moved to Saudi Arabia in the summer, and for one, no one can really understand. There's no real official confirmation as why he's not being selected, but at the moment, I'm not 100% sure if he's not in the squad or not, but there are rumours that he was going to be left out of the squad. I don't know what ended up happening, but he's had very little game time, if any, since he's moved there, especially in the last few weeks. Obviously, he's one Postecoglou knows well, and he could sort out a situation for us in terms of just more quality out wide. Is he one you'd want to bring in, or would you look somewhere else if you were to look for a wide player?
I like Jota. I mean, he was a player that I had that I thought we were going to sign in the summer, and I think he would have done really well for us. Obviously, like you say, he's a guy who knows Postecoglou's system, who suits Postecoglou's system, and he was an influential part of that Celtic treble-winning team last season, getting a lot of goals and assists to his name. I'm looking at where he's been in terms of Al Ittihad so far. He's actually had He's had like a bit part role off the bench since he's joined, but the last 4 games he hasn't been in any match day squad. So that tells you where he's at the moment. In terms of where he fits in at Spurs, obviously he predominantly plays out from the left-hand side, where we do have Solomon. Perisic is gone now, more or less. We've got Brian Hill, who's coming back, and we've got That's it, isn't it, really?
Richarlison's been playing there, obviously.
Richarlison, yeah. So, I mean, again, I think it very much depends on what happens with Richarlison. If Richarlison doesn't kick on, then I would like to see him come in, Jota. But if not, then I'm not sure if there is actually a space where he's going to get consistent minutes.
Well, could he maybe take that spot from Solomon potentially if he was to come in? Maybe he could be more suited than Solomon. Because look, I don't know. I'm liking Solomon so far, but I'm still not 100% convinced by him. Apart from some good performances he has made.
He could be, but can you really see Ange, with the people person that he is, like just to cast Manuel Solomon aside straight away after signing him? I mean, I just don't see that being a possibility straight away. Maybe after a year, if he hasn't done well in the first year, then you could maybe sell Manuel Solomon, and anything that we sell him for is going to be profit. But right now, let's say in January, I can't see that being a situation.
Look, if I agree with you, but if we do sign Jota, let's say we do sign Jota in January, and that would tell me quite a bit of what Ange kind of thinks of Solomon at the moment. Because I think if he was 100% convinced of Solomon, like I don't see the need to sign Jota. But if he's not, then I kind of do get the need to sign Jota. So we'll have to wait and see what happens. I don't know if that's anything's gonna come of it, but it could be a situation where maybe Spurs just see a good deal, a cheap deal for a player who, if we sign for cheap and he could be worth double what we pay for him, maybe that's a situation we could go for. But you know how Spurs are with their business, so that could be a possibility. Next up is a article from Turkey and a publication called Milliyet, and it's talking about Tanguy Ndombele at the moment out in Galatasaray, and they said that Galatasaray have assessed Tanguy Ndombele and have said that he is overweight. This is understood to be the reason Ndombele has registered just 39 minutes across 3 substitute appearances so far this season. Galatasaray have allegedly given Ndombele 1 month to improve his fitness. Is a month going to be long enough?
You can't write this stuff. You cannot write this stuff. This is a guy that you backed to the hills before the season started.
Just give him a diet plan and he'll be fine. He just hasn't found his diet. How many
diet plans does he need? He's had diet plans from Jose. He's had diet plans from Conte. He's probably got diet plans out in Galatasaray. The guy is not professional enough to make his way in the game. That is just the facts of the matter. We've seen it time and time again. The amount of people that just keep trying to back him because of the sheer quality that he does have is just absolutely ludicrous with what he's shown year in, year out, whatever club he's been at. So it looks like he's going to be back all over again in the summer, and we go again.
Sounds like there's going to be more of him back as well at this rate. But we'll have to wait and see. Next up, we have quotes from Destiny Udogi, who was speaking in Spurs' matchday program on Saturday. He was asked about who his biggest footballing idol is. He says, I grew up watching a lot of clips of Marcelo, and I was such a big fan. I love the way he plays under pressure and had the quality on the ball. And now I've matured. I like to watch myself play and analyze where I'm sometimes making mistakes and where I can improve my game. And obviously, he said on signing for Spurs in general, says, when I signed for Spurs, it was my biggest dream from where I started before. And then to sign for the club, it's like it wasn't real. It was a dream come true, but now I'm here. So I want to show my quality to prove myself and help my teammates. And I'll give my best every day to make sure I keep improving and achieve more here. The whole team was really nice when I joined. I was lucky Vic came at the same time, but everyone helped me settle in easily. It was perfect for me to have teammates like them because once I came, it was like I'd known them for 10 years. And that's lovely to hear. But in terms of him being a fan of Marcelo, do you see a bit of Marcelo in Destiny Udogi?
I see the kind of aggressive nature in the game could be a bit similar. Maybe Marcelo is a bit more aggressive and a bit over the top aggressive. But look, if he can be half the player that Marcelo was, one of the best left backs to play the game, I think that we're going to have a very good player. And I like that he kind of just analyzes his game and works on the things that don't go well. That's a sign of a top player, or a sign that someone that's going to be a top player. So I've loved what I've seen from Destiny so far in a Spurs shirt, and long may it continue and long may it keep improving.
Yeah, and I think he's shown a really good mentality as soon as he's come here. First of all, it's brilliant that he said how easy it has been to settle in with the teammates, and I think that just goes to show the group that we have and the leadership group as well with Maddison, Romero, Sonny, and how they've led that group, and it's how welcoming it is, which is absolutely fantastic. But I think we've already seen, not just from how quickly he's taken to the Premier League, but even in game, like in certain games, for example, that Arsenal game, the fact that he struggled for a bit, but he didn't let that affect him, and he ended up, on top in that game, and how he got through a rough period and was able to keep his mentality and end up having a top performance. I think that just goes to show what kind of person he is and what kind of player he is. And I think in terms of how he plays on the left-hand side, he's got that little bit of obviously he's got so much aggression and pace, and he likes to move forward. But what I've been so impressed by him, which I didn't realize he had, is just that ability in this, like when he comes inverted and in that central space, to have good decision making and make passes at the right time with good weight of pass as well. And his movement's been really, really impressive. And I just think he's playing at a really, really high level. And the fact that he's only 20 years of age and he's got all these attributes at the moment is so encouraging. So hope he keeps up for the rest of the season. But I'm absolutely buzzing for him at the moment. Next up,
I love his kind of like one touch passes like round the back when he receives it in tight spaces, and then he'll just do one little outside of the boot curled pass, and it's always on the money as well, and it creates loads of space for him. So big up to Destiny. Keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely. Next up, Cuti Romero has been speaking, and he's been talking about Heung-min Son being given the captaincy. He says being captain gives you leadership and a different image in the club. He has assumed it with an incredible responsibility. I see him very well, and to me, he is the image of the club. And on Postecoglou as well, he said it's clear to see that the manager is trying to create a family with this squad. So really good quotes there from Cuti Romero. And obviously, look, you've seen how him and Son have taken to their new leadership roles, and you see how they work. They seem to work together a lot, don't they? Him, Maddison, and Romero. When it comes to that leadership, as much as Son is the captain, they seem to share that leadership responsibility, and it's working very well at the moment.
Yeah, and you've seen the kind of different side to Cuti Romero since he's got that vice captaincy, more responsibility on his shoulders, and he's better off for it as well. The fouls have definitely gone down. The aggressive nature in his game is still there, which is great. But the yellow cards have started to creep back in, though, the last couple of games. But that's probably more on a kind of assessment on the opposition. Arsenal and Liverpool, obviously very tough opposition, and maybe you need to be that bit more aggressive to get the better of them. So I'm liking what I'm seeing from Cuti Romero. I think the leadership has definitely done him the world of good. And yeah, he's growing in stature as a Spurs player. So brilliant stuff.
Absolutely fantastic. And last but definitely not least, we go to the Spurs under-21s from last night as they continued their winning run at the beginning of the season with a 4-2 win over Chelsea yesterday. Jamie Donnelly nabbing another 2 goals, Niall John and Iago Santiago with the goals that won Spurs the game. I think they were losing 2-1 at one point as well, and they ended up turning it around with a fantastic win. That's now 6 wins out of 6, scoring 21, conceding 3. And just a little snippet as well from Ali Gold talking about Alfie Dorrington ahead of yesterday's game. He said there's a lot of belief within Spurs in Alfie Dorrington, who only turned 18 in April this year, and just how far he can go at the club in the years ahead. The academy staff has been so impressed with his development. That has been a real hope after last season that Dorrington might just be pushing the first team squad under Ange Postecoglou. So that's really great to hear about Dorrington. And look, Jamie Donnelly just can't stop scoring at the moment. I think this season, it's 8 games, 8 goals and 7 assists. So he's absolutely tearing it to shreds at the moment as well. And they just can't stop winning at the moment, the under-21s.
Unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And the football they're playing is scintillating stuff. You've got, Niall John is playing as a striker at the moment. He's getting goals. You've got Santiago on the left, Donnelly in the middle, Sunsop Bell on the right. And then Dorrington at the back. And Keeley, by the way. Keeley in goal looks like a top keeper as well. And I was speaking to Dave, the Irish Hotspur, about him. And he was saying that in Ireland, in the Irish national team setup, they've got much higher hopes for him than they ever did for Kelleher or what's the one at Southampton called?
Babazunu.
Bazunu, yeah, him as well. So they've actually got much higher hopes for Josh Keeley as a goalkeeper to make it to the top level than them two. And them two are already like kind of making waves in the first team in the Irish football. So, and also Charlie Sayers as well. Didn't mention him. He's been playing at fullback. So next season, you think Ashley Phillips and Dorrington are our backup centre backs?
Well, maybe if Postecoglou has faith in them and they maybe could take the step up. I want to see maybe this season, maybe not right now, but maybe in the second half of the season. Although it depends, if we're like in a serious challenge for something, then I don't know if the pressure they can handle it. But I want to see them get a few minutes here and there, you know, just to get there, just to dip their toe in the water, get a bit of experience of what it's going to be like at this level. But it's difficult to do, especially when there's so much riding on Premier League games at the moment, whether that's fair to them. But I do want to see, maybe it would have been best in pre-season if they would have got a couple of chances, but unfortunately that didn't really happen. That's why I was a bit frustrated in pre-season. We played the likes of Sanchez and Dyer, who we just don't want, and I just would have loved to have seen them get those opportunities just to see what they're like at this level and how they can compete. And we never get to saw that, but it's going to be difficult to throw them in the deep end of a competitive game if there's a lot riding on it. But we'll see next season, maybe next pre-season, we can get a good look at them and they can get some minutes with the first team. And if they're feeling like they're at that level, maybe they can be involved in the first team, and that would be really, really exciting. And considering their profiles, they seem to be definitely defenders who should be able to play in this system when it comes to their physicality and their ball playing ability as well. So definitely very exciting prospects for the future.
It's just crazy, like how the narratives change, and like suddenly, like 6 months ago, Spurs had no future whatsoever, no light at the end of the tunnel, and suddenly we've got this whole team in the under-21s that are going to be like all world beaters. You got Will Lancashire as well. You got Alfie Devine and Dane Scarlett out on loan. Troy Parrott doing a bit of bits in Holland, which we probably will look to sell in the summer, but it's unbelievable. It really is. And Sunsot Bell as well. I mean, I'm just loving what I'm seeing from this under-21 team. And I've never seen the fan base so invested in the under-21 team as well and what they're doing. And it kind of goes into what you and Stel were talking about the other day in terms of the mentality from the club to make the philosophy of the footballing side the same all the way through the youth setup to the first team. And that's credit to Ange Postecoglou and the kind of philosophy that he's instilling.
Yeah, 100%. And also, Jamie Donnelly was on the bench, wasn't he, against Liverpool? And I don't know if he ever intended to use him at any point, because obviously if you're not going to use him against 9 men when we need a goal, I don't know when you would have used him. But it was maybe
I think he was just trying to get in the field.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that goes to show how much he probably rates him and how much he believes in him, that he's wanting to give him those experiences to, make him feel like he's this could be him one day. So let's hope that maybe at some point in the season he could get an opportunity. Who knows? But he's absolutely crushing it, isn't he, in the under-21s? And maybe at this level, it seems to be too easy for him at the moment. 8 goals and 7 assists in 8 games. It's too easy for him.
Ridiculous. And in terms of the centre backs, you asked me the question: do we need to sign a centre forward or a left winger? You said, do we need to sign a centre back? Because if we sign a centre back, maybe that will actually block the pathways of these centre backs coming through.
Yeah, and that's a fair opinion to have, and I don't want to block them. They are still very. I think a centre back's a bit different, because at 18, it's just very different to having to being at 18 you could maybe play striker, and it could be and the pressure wouldn't be on you as much as maybe at 18 years old playing centre back. But I get your point. I definitely get your point, and I would like to see them get more opportunities. And I think we've just got a very good future ahead of us, and I'm glad that everyone's excited about it and people are talking about it, because a lot of the time youth levels kind of forgotten about and they kind of goes under the radar. I'm just happy that it's like in the Spurs fans' consciousness about these young players, and everyone's getting excited about them, and hopefully down the line they do get some opportunities and some and a pathway to the first team, which I'm sure Ange is thinking about. So go on. It's
such a big change though, like from last season to this year. Last season Spurs in the under-21 league got relegated, and then there was a rule change and they increased the number of teams in the PL2, so it meant that we stayed in the PL2. Now we are battering every team with flying colours. Man City, by the way, have won that league for the past 4 years in a row. So that shows you what kind of teams are winning it. And Spurs are absolutely smashing that league with flying colours. Not long ago, they played in the EFL Cup. They played Colchester's first team, by the way, a senior team of Colchester, and they battered them 5-0.
Yeah, so well, there you have it. So let me know in the comment section below of anything we spoke about today, all the stories that we spoke about today. Let me know in the comment section all your thoughts. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.